Hello, thank you for joining me in practice today. So I'm just going to take you through a few quick exercises that you can do during your moon day cycle. And we've got a few props today. So a hot water bottle if you have too much stomach cramping. And I think we should really start normalizing taking these into yoga studios, whether you're going to a yin class or a pranayama class or maybe some meditation, because props are essential. And then we've also got a body pillow. So if you have access to a bolster, you can use that. Otherwise, I've just folded up this body pillow. You can use a couple of cushions. And then also just making sure you're wearing something comfortable, because we don't need to be wearing leggings and sports bras every single day. This is a time for a slow restorative practice. So just finding a few deep breaths, settling into your seat, letting the shoulders melt away from the ears. So when you're ready, we're just making our way to the first pose of the practice, which is a wide-legged child's pose. So we're going to take the knees to the edge of the mat, taking the feet beneath us, and then just folding forward, stretching the hands out in front. Just breathing into this pose, sinking the hips a little deeper, softening the head against the mat, letting the shoulder blades drop down, and just finding 3 more deep breaths in this pose. And on your next inhale, just walking the hands over to the right side of the mat. You can walk them off the edge. If you need a deeper stretch, you can stack that left hand on top of the right. Just breathing into the side body. Letting the hips still sink deeply into the mat. In Bunjalung language, we have a word, Bajranga. And depending on the context, this can either mean to love, to soften, or to bleed. And so taking that out of context, I feel like this just sums up the most apt description of the female cycle. On your next inhale, just let your hands walk over off to the left side of the mat. If you want that deeper stretch, stacking the right hand on top of the left and just letting the hips sink deeply. So if we take this concept of the word to bleed and bring that into our cycle, then we also need to create the softness, to create the space to love ourselves. And by doing so, we can create this softness, this gentleness, this yin practice to nurture our femininity. Finding 2 more deep breaths, letting the oxygen draw space in the right side of the body, and then walking your hands back to center, just taking a moment in this forward fold, feeling into your aches and pains. And when you're ready, just coming up into a tabletop, stacking the shoulders above the wrists, the hips above the knees. And we can find some cat-cows here. On your inhale, dropping the belly, lifting the gaze. On the exhale, pushing the mat away, curling the spine, tucking the chin. Just moving at your own pace, flowing with your breath. Feeling into anywhere there might be tension, releasing the body, letting movement come naturally. We're just going to find 3 more rounds of intuitive movement. Maybe you need to roll the shoulders or find hip circles, but still just moving with that breath. Then meeting with a neutral spine, we're going to inhale, sweep that left hand up overhead, the Warm hand, and thread it under your right shoulder, dropping that left ear to the ground, thread the needle. And then maybe you want to find your bind if you have the space. I'm feeling quite tight today, so I'll just be keeping that Junimba, the right hand, in front of me. Wherever you are, just finding that Bhajaranga, creating that softness, that love for your body. Not every day you have to find your peak pose. Some days is about the softness, the stillness, the slowness. And just breathing into this pose. On your next inhale, planting that hand down, sweeping the left hand back up overhead, finding a gaze. And then planting both hands down, we'll sweep that right hand up overhead, thread the needle on the other side. Just always ensuring that we find the stretch on both sides of the body to create a symmetry. And even though we might not be able to stretch as deeply on one side, just creating that alignment through the meridians. Finding 2 more deep breaths. Inhale, planting that left hand beside your face to help you lift up that right hand overhead, taking a gaze. And then planting both hands on the mat again, we're just going to step that left foot forward, finding a low lunge. So even if you can't get very deep into this pose, just making sure that that left knee is not tracking any further forward than the toes, keeping it above the ankle or above the sole of the foot, just creating that alignment. And if you want to, you can walk that left foot out to the edge of the mat, finding a lizard variation, just opening up the hips, pushing that knee away from the body, breathing into this space, sinking the hips a little bit deeper. Just finding one more deep breath, and then we'll make our way over to the other side. So maybe you want to come back through tabletop, maybe you have a downward dog in you, wherever you are. Just stepping that right foot to the front of the mat, finding a low lunge. Maybe you want to find that lizard variation by walking the right foot out to the edge. Just breathing into this pose, creating the space, creating the softness, showing Bhajaranga to yourself, to your body, to this time of month. And then just stepping it back, coming through tabletop, we're just going to make our way to a seated position. So taking the feet out long in front of you. Maybe you want to take the bolster underneath if you want a gentler pose. We're just going to come into a forward fold. So today isn't about finding your deepest stretch, it's about dialing it back somewhere between 40 to 70%. Now's the time. If you want, you can take that hot water bottle to your stomach, easing the tension. And here we're just looking to melt the stomach to the thighs. We're trying to find Bhajaranga, love and softness in this pose. So we're not straining to reach forward. We're just easing the tension in the lower back, in the lower lumbar. So finding that deep bend. We're just here for another minute. If you need to make any adjustments, maybe you want to lower the height of the bolster, maybe you want to bend the knees a bit deeper. Just returning to that breath, slowing down the body. you're ready, we're just going to take the bolster out from underneath us and we're going to fold it in half and put it behind. So it's going to come into our lower back and then we're going to lie on top of it. So a bit of a assisted recline. And from here you can keep the feet long in front of you, taking that hot water bottle if you have it. Breathing in as we just find some expansion through the chest, letting the shoulders melt away from our ears. Breathing into the stomach, feeling the healing oxygen fill our whole bodies, relaxing our nervous system. And just finding 2 more deep breaths. When you're ready, just drawing the feet in towards the body, letting the knees fold out to the sides. We're just going to find a reclined butterfly position. So breathing back into those hips, creating that space, releasing the tension in the hip flexors, and just settling into this pose. Taking the time to soften the body, to find Bhajaranga, to find that love. Wherever you are, just finding one more cleansing breath. And when you're ready, we're just going to straighten the legs out, take the bolster out from underneath us, and we're just going to make our way onto our backs. And the final pose that we're going to come through today is just a twist. So taking any variation you like, whether this is a simple twist, maybe you prefer to do this seated. If you're looking for a deeper stretch, you can take that right leg long and then pull the left leg over to the right side of the body. Just finding that variation that you need today. Breathing through the whole body, making sure both shoulders are grounded into the mat. And just sending that oxygen internally. You've spent some time stretching out some physical tension, and twists are a great way to rinse out the organs, to just send that love internally. Finding one more cleansing breath. When you're ready, we're just going to come through to the other side. Matching what you did on the first side, finding that symmetry, grounding both shoulders into the earth. Just taking these final few moments to embody Bhajaranga. The time to bleed is also the time to soften and to show love. I hope that you were able to find some ease within your body with these few simple stretches, and that you continue the rest of your day with softness and love, and that until I see you next time on the mat, may you spread love and give love. Bhagawan.